Hey, good day, folks. Welcome to either Andrew's Life or Life of a Single Man. Now, for those of you that have been watching my channel, uh, Andrew's Life, I just put out a new channel about a few days ago. It's already got one video, and I'm going to try to do two more videos today to add to it to include this one. So, my new channel is Life of a Single Man. So, uh, feel free to go over there and check me out. And I can almost promise you, you will not be disappointed. And, just as a quick disclaimer, I don't do no type of name calling. I don't get into the whole red pill, blue pill, beta, simp. I don't get into all that name calling type of stuff. On that channel, I just try to give advice that I feel is logical for given the situation. So go check me out over there. I think you guys will like what I have to say, even for you females. If you care about what I think or what I say or what other men are thinking, go check me out. But anyways, this video is gonna be about the lazy Gen Zs. And I guess you can also add some of your younger millennials in the equation as well. Now, there's been a lot of people like your baby boomers, and I would even say some of your older Gen X's, and even people my age, that at some point or another, whether it be on social media or it be in real life, have criticized the younger generation because, they're lazy. They appear to lack work ethic. They appear to have a poor attitude when it comes to getting a job and working. They appear to have their expectations appear to be too high when it comes to a job, like in terms of pay, benefits, and stuff like that. It's almost like it's almost like the younger generation, they're lazy, they don't want to work. They want everything handed to them. And I'm not going to lie to you people, man. At first I felt the same way that many other people may feel about the younger generation. But as time goes by, you know, I'm the kind of person that, I like to think. I like to take certain situations and look into them a little deeper than what most people are willing to look into certain situations. And, and for starters, there's lazy people in all generations. There's lazy people in my generation, the Gen X generation. There were lazy people in the baby boomer generation. And there were lazy people in the generation before them. So let's not sit around and act like it's just a millennial or a Gen Z problem, because that's not the case at all. And I would like to give what I would consider, this video is going to be more or less of a video to where when you get done watching the video, it might cause you to do a little bit of thinking. And that's basically what this video is going to be. It's going to be a video that's going to have you thinking. Maybe. Or maybe after this video, you might feel the same way after the video as you felt before this video. But let's look a little bit more in depth with why some of your people in the younger generation feel how they feel about working a 9 to 5. Now, I'm pretty sure many of you are familiar with exactly what I'm talking about. There's videos all over TikTok, Instagram, and here on YouTube of younger millennials and Gen Zs making videos just being like, basically they're giving society, as many of us know society to be, they're giving society the peripheral middle finger, and they're like, you know what? No, we ain't gonna work your job that's paying you $10, that's paying $10 an hour. We ain't doing that today. Nah, fam. You know, minimum wage needs to be at least 15. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah. You know, we're not gonna, you know, all this crap about going to college and you know, go to school if you want to do better. You know what? Some of your Gen Zs are like, nah, man, we ain't doing no college, man. Forget that. You know, we want to get a job that pays livable wages coming out the gate. And basically, my take on the current attitude of some of your younger of some of the people in the younger generations are, hey, you know what? I'm gonna just tell you guys straight up. I understand what they're saying, and with some of these people, I actually sided with them. And there's actually people in the Gen Zs and the younger millennials that, in my opinion, are rather intelligent people. They're not gonna be a bunch of idiots and be sitting ducks, hoping for the best, even though they've already seen the worst of the worst. And the thing which I believe people of my generation and older need to understand is many of your millennials and Gen Zs have had front row seats of what I would call the game of American fuckery. With all the players in the game being a bunch of people that we're forced to have to pay our tax dollars to, people that at one point of our life when we were kids we looked up to as being somebody special, someone to admire. And also, I can't really say what I want to say here because I need to make my little bit of money here on YouTube. But I think you guys get the idea. So they didn't have front row seats of that game. In fact, they didn't have front row seats of that game. They didn't went to multiple games and have front row seats of that game. And my attitude is, after you've been through certain things, like I'm gonna give you guys an example. Like, let's take the millennial generation for an example, and some of your older Gen Zs. Now, no, let's take the millennial generation. Now, with the millennial generation, many of your millennials, they done been through the last recession of '08, and they're going through the recession this time again. They have also been through 2020. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And during each of those, and remember, going back to the recession of '08, many of these millennials at that time were kids. They were 9, 10 years old. You know, they were still kids. They were still in elementary school. Some may have been in junior high. And they watched their parents and their grandparents and the elders in their family lose their job just like that. A job that they may have been working for 15, 20 years. Just like that, they lost their job. You know, some of these people thought they were going to get to retire after 25, 30 years. After 15 to 20, they lost their job. Now, for those that got lucky, they did get brought out. But you got a lot of other people that lost their job and they didn't get lucky. They had to simply start over from ground zero, from point zero. So, during the last recession, you had a lot of your millennials that saw all that unravel with their elders. And then fast forward to And also, speaking of the last recession, many of your millennials, when they were younger, when they were kids, they also saw their parents and their elders have to go through foreclosure on their homes because now that they've lost their job, they have no means of paying the mortgage. So they got foreclosed on their home. They may have gotten their vehicles repoed as well. Fast forward to 2020. Now you got a lot of your millennials that are grown up. They're adults. They're out here in the workforce themselves. And despite doing what society has told them to do, go to school, earn your degree, work hard, have good work ethic and all that type of stuff, I'm not saying any of that is a bad thing to do, and I'm not saying people should no longer do that. What I'm saying is many of your millennials that did do that, come 2020, a lot of companies decided, you know what, we're going to let a bunch of people go. We're going to downsize our working force. And although they would like to use the excuse of 2020 being their reason for downsizing, for those of us that got a brain cell and know a thing or two, we all know that's a bunch of cap. We all know the real reason why many of these companies decided to downsize is because they wanted to maximize a profit. They wanted to make their company appear to be more profitable, to be more profitable for all the investors that purchase shares with their company. That's the real reason why during 2020, a lot of companies let people go permanently. The same thing, which is what's going on right now. So, a lot of your millennials, and at this point, some of your older Gen Zs, they see all this crap unravel, and they're like, huh? I done went to school. I done ran up $100,000 student loan debt. I done worked for these people for X amount of time. They told me this, they told me that. And, I done bought me a house. I done purchased me a vehicle. And I done got my life set up. I'm showing up to work and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do every day. And then there's out the blues. Just like that. Job out of here. And now I'm pretty sure many of you are familiar with what's been going on in the tech sector of the American economy. People are losing their jobs over a Zoom call. They're losing their jobs over an email. When they wake up and they try to clock in and do what they do from home, for those that work from home, they're discovering, oh man, I can't clock in. What's going on? I can't get on the computer and get to the programs. What's going on? They locked me up out of the computer. What's going on? And then you get an email, or you got to go to a Zoom meeting, and then you get told through one of those two, right? You get told like that you done lost your job. And naturally you're looking for answers like, what the fuck? I mean, I done worked hard. I've been a good employee. I got these bills I gotta pay. I got mouths I gotta feed. I gotta pay this mortgage. I gotta pay this car note. I done lost my job, man. How am I gonna do that? Well, go get another job. Okay, that's cool. So you go apply for another job. Just to find out that a lot of companies in your field of work, a lot of other companies done took the same route. They let go of a bunch of their people the same way as the company that you were working for let go of you. So, 2020, again, the millennials are going through it. Some of your older Gen Zs are even going through it. And then let's fast forward to what's going on today. Here we are in 2024 in the midst of another recession. I don't give a crap what the government says about an easy landing. Nah. I mean, there's too many indications out here that point to the fact that we are currently in a recession. Now, I done told you guys now, for those of you guys that have been following my channel, Andrew's Life, I done told you guys a couple of years ago that we were in a recession. Because technically we were. And we still are in a recession. It's just now it's gotten to the point where the recession it has gotten worse. You now got more companies letting people go, especially in the tech sector. Even some of these other companies are letting people go. And, naturally they're going to have a reason to let people go. And it's going to be some bullshit. But, like I said, for a lot of your larger companies, the real reason why they're letting people go is because they're trying to make their company more profitable for themselves, and obviously for the purpose of attracting more investors to purchase shares in their company. So now you got the Millennials and the Gen Zs. Now I understand you got Gen X's and baby boomers out going through it too. I understand. But I'm talking about the younger generation because that's what this video is about. Because I'm trying to explain to you guys why it is that I actually side with the younger generation with a lot of what they have to say about what's going on today. And the reason why I side with the younger generation and given this current state of affairs in this society, the peripheral middle finger. And also, to be real, I would say yes, the younger generation does have it significantly harder than older generations had it. Like, I'm going to give you guys an example. Like, back when I was, and I'll remind you, I'm 44. That makes me a Gen X. Now, back during the last housing boom, the housing boom of the mid-2000s, I was, if you had, let's say, $100,000 to buy a house, whether it be through a loan or it be cash money, $100,000, and let's say you were looking to buy a house in Tennessee. $100,000 in Tennessee would have bought you something in a solid middle class neighborhood back in the mid-2000s. Same thing with here in Indiana. $100,000 would have bought you something in a solid working class neighborhood. Fast forward to now this is in the mid-2000s, like in 2005, 2006, 2007. And then in 2008 and 2009, the housing prices actually dropped. So if you purchase a house after 2008, you were actually able to buy even more of a house for that $100,000 because the prices dropped. And the prices stayed down up until, I want to say, 2020. And then in 2020, things just got crazy. Now, when I compare that situation, the situation that I was in, back during that time when people in my generation, we was in our mid-20s, early 30s. Fast forward to today, you look at your younger millennials and Gen Zs, many of them are between their mid-20s and I would say their mid-20s to mid-30s. Many of them are wanting to do the same thing that people like me have had the privilege to do. They want to go out and buy their first home. You got a lot of people that got family. They want a yard, perhaps in colder climates. They want a place to they want a garage for their vehicles to keep the snow off. So they're out here looking to buy a house, just like I was out here looking to buy a house when I was their age. Just like many of us were when we were younger. Now, unfortunately for the younger people of today, well, guess what? If the same $100,000 today, as many of you realize, is not going to buy you near the house as it would have back during the last recession. Now, fast forward to today, again, we're in a recession. Companies are letting people go. But guess what? Housing prices are not getting cheaper. Rent prices are not getting cheaper. So like today, your rent prices are higher than they were back in the day. Because that's another thing. Back in the day, back when people in my generation, back when we were in our 20s and 30s, you could rent a one-bedroom apartment somewhere towards the middle of the country. You could rent a one-bedroom apartment for around $600 a month, and it would have you in a solid working class neighborhood. As we're fast forward to today, you try to take that same $600 and look for a place to rent. If you can even find anything for that low, it's gonna be somewhere in the ghetto. You're gonna have a bunch of Pookies and Ray Rays. You're gonna have a bunch of, I mean, no disrespect to all the single women raising children by themselves, but you're gonna have a bunch of baby mamas that don't give a shit about nothing. They don't care about their kids. You got Pookies and Ray Rays running around, breaking into people's cars and shit. Nowadays, if you get lucky, even in the middle of the country, that's what you're going to get for $600 a month. Now, back to the $100,000 that I was discussing before. And if you have $100,000 cash, or you're going to take that, or you're going to use a loan, you're going to take out a loan for $100,000 to purchase a home. I mean, can you still buy a home today for $100,000? You can. But nowadays, for $100,000, even in the middle of the country, now, if you try to buy a house anywhere in Tennessee for $100,000, good luck. I mean, there's a few places in Tennessee where you can get away with that. And either A, you're going to end up somewhere in the ghetto of Memphis, or B, you're going to most likely buy a pile of rubbish. It's either going to be a fixer-upper, or it might be a complete tear down and rebuild. Like, for those of you that have been watching my channel, Andrew's Life, you guys realize that I used to live in Lewisburg, Tennessee, back in the day. Now, back in the day, I was able to buy a brand new house for $75,000. Now, if you were to buy anything now in Lewisburg, you're not going to find anything, and I mean, you're not going to find nothing that's habitable that's going to be lower than $120,000. And for that $120,000, here's what you're going to get. You're going to get a small 700 to 800 square foot home with a driveway that probably isn't even going to be paved. It's going to be gravel. And this 700 to 800 square foot home is going to have a lot size that is maybe 6,000 square feet. And you're not going to have no you're not going to have no porch. You're not going to have a carport. That's basically what you get nowadays for $120,000 in Lewisburg. Now, back in the day, if I would have had $100,000 and I would have bought something in Lewisburg, back in the day for that $100,000, I could have bought something on in upwards of a half acre. My house would have came with a carport. The square footage of the house would have been at least 1,200. And on top of that, the house would have been newer. So that's just a simple example of the difference of house that you get for $100,000 today versus what you would have been able to get back when people of my generation were in our 20s and 30s. And let's not forget about the higher prices of everything else. Like let's talk about the car deal. Now, back in the day when people in my generation were in our 20s and 30s, if you were real low on money and you had to just hurry up and buy you a car real quick and fast, you know, those $1,000 cars were out there. I mean, granted, the car would be older and it would probably be a rust bucket if you live up north. But those $500 to $1,000 hoopty cars were out there. They were available, and if you needed to buy one, you can buy one. Nowadays, the cars that would have been selling for $500 to $1,000 are now selling for $2,000 and $3,000. Back in the day, you could have bought you a brand new car. You could have bought you a brand new subcompact economy car. Kind of like, what I mean by that is it's kind of like a Chevy Cruze, Chevy Cobalt. You could have bought one of those cars brand new back in the day for less than $15,000. Nowadays, if you want to buy that same type of car or something very similar, now you're going to be spending more like in the $30-some thousand dollar range. Back in the day, on the low end, a car payment would have ran you a couple $100 a month. On the low end, a car payment would have ran you maybe $200 to $300 a month. Today, on the low end, car payments are running $400 to $500 a month. So when you look at the difference in the cost of everything, and also some people are gonna be like, whoa, back in the younger wages used to be lower than what they are today. True, wages today are higher than what they were back in the day. But when you look at the rate of wage increases versus the rate of inflation, the rate of inflation has outpaced the rate of wage increases. And typically that's how that works. Typically the rate of inflation is going to almost always outpace wages. Because how is inflation done? Inflation is done by companies raising their prices up on their goods or their services. I mean, think about it for a minute. Companies are in business to make a profit. So if workers are having to be paid a certain wage in order to do a specific job, that company is going to accommodate for that. They're going to raise their prices up on the goods to where they can also make a higher profit. You're going to make more money per hour as an employee. Well, guess what? The company is going to make a higher profit too. So, I mean, just in layman's terms, the rate of inflation is going to always outpace the rate of wages being increased. So all in all, the younger generation of today, their cost of living is much higher than what it was in previous generations. And some people might be like, okay, well, younger people are a bunch of losers because they don't want to buy a house. They don't want to be responsible. The men today ain't about nothing because many men don't want to marry, don't want to have kids. Everyone just wants to go out here and live in vans and travel the country and live by the river. I mean, the younger generations, they all just a bunch of losers. And I hear that a lot too. I mean, I hear it on social media and I hear it also in real life. And again, can you blame the younger generations for living how they're living, some of them? Can you blame them for their train of thought? I don't. I mean, some people look at me and think I'm not shit because I'm single. I'm not married. I don't have no kids. I'm not exactly living the white picket fence lifestyle. And I'm fine with that. I mean, people can think what they want to think. It's all good. And again, for those who live in their vans, for those who choose to live off the grid, For those who choose to buy land and do their own homesteading because they want to know what they're putting in their bodies. I'm not mad at that. And for those of you that feel some kind of way about that, I mean, you should actually, even if you don't agree with what they do, you should at least take a moment and investigate why it is that many people in younger generations think the way they think when it comes to society and its, the way society currently is. So I would challenge you guys who are older, like my generation, the baby boomer generation, I would challenge you guys to examine yourself a little bit. And I would challenge you guys to, like, you know what? What am I doing here? Yeah, I got a job. Yeah, I've been here for 10, 15, maybe 20 some odd years. But you know what? What is my purpose in life? What am I doing here? I mean, just think about it for a minute. Now, I'm not saying go off the deep end and quit your job and go out here and be a bum. I'm not saying that at all. And I still do encourage people to be responsible and make wise decisions with their life and their resources. But at the same time, I just think sometimes we need to take a moment. We need to think about stuff. And when we look at younger generations and how they're living and what their thoughts are about society, I mean, granted, some of the thoughts out here are way off. They're radical. They're way too radical for me anyway. But it is what it is. But I still think that some of us people in older generations need to take a moment and we need to really evaluate what it is that we are prioritizing in our life. And how it is that we can make our lives just a little better, a little more meaningful. But yeah, I do not, what am I going to say here? But yeah, I do not blame some of the people in younger generations for basically giving society the peripheral middle finger and deciding to check out of society. And and another thing is, FYI, and I'm pretty sure many of you are aware of what I'm getting ready to say. I mean, there's a lot of people in my generation and also in the baby boomer generation that have also decided, you know what, the way society is right now is completely fucked. So whatever we gotta do to live our best life, even though it may not be by traditional means, we're going to do it because it's what we want to do, it's how we want to live, and it's what's going to make us happy. Because there's even older people that are living in vehicles, and not always because they have to, but because they want to. They want to travel the country. They're not trying to sit around and ride away. They want to live life. I mean, me, myself, ultimately, I would like to be able to quit my 9 to 5 and travel a lot more. Not only for my channel, but also just because I like to travel. I like seeing different things. I like going to different places. I mean, after a while, at least for me, and I've been like this since I was a kid, the same old every day, it gets tiresome, it gets boring, and, I'm just ready for something new, something exciting every so often. All right, folks, I'm about 34 minutes in. I don't want to make this video too long. There's more that I can say, but I'm going to keep it right here. Maybe I'll do a part 2 if I can think of some more stuff. If I can think of more stuff to make another video, I'll do a part 2, but I'm going to leave it right here for now. So stay blessed out there, and I'll check you guys on the next video.